Hey everyone, this is Alchemixt here, and I decided that I would do another one of these introduction videos because I got a lot of really good feedback on my Warrior Control video series, and I decided not to put an intro video in the Mage series and focus more on the written portion, but you guys seem to really like these, so I decided that I would make a brief intro, or as brief as I can try and make it. I'm going to just quickly go over each of the card choices and some of the matchups. And then if you want to know more details, and feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, and definitely check out my written guide if you want to know more about specifics of the deck. So to start with, this is a pretty unique Raging Worgen Warrior combo deck. I know that there is I think someone named Nyria, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, who plays a very similar deck on stream quite a bit. And I don't know if this is better or worse. I haven't actually tried it out too much myself, but I play this deck mainly for fun. However, you will see that it is definitely competitive, even in the legend ranks. I actually rank up a bit during this video series. So, yeah, it's. I don't know if I would recommend bringing this to a tournament if you're looking to take first place, but if you want to just try out something new, maybe make some people really mad by killing them out of nowhere with a Raging Worgen, then yeah, feel free to try this out. I just my last two videos were Warrior Control and Freeze Mage, which just some are kind of boring and a little bit typical and standard. So I just wanted to put something out there that's a little bit different. Okay, so to start with, we have two enrages. This works perfectly with Gadgetztan Auctioneer because it's a free spell that you can cycle, and it's also very good for the combo, which the combo is Raging Worgen, charge, and then some type of enrage effect, whether it's enrage, a death bite trigger, cruel taskmaster, and then you can rampage. You don't need the rampage. The main combo that you need is Worgen, charge, plus some way to enrage it. But the rampage is how you get the really big combos. I don't know if I have one in this video series, but I have done some 30 damage combos before. It's pretty cool when it happens. So enrage can also be used to trigger your Acolyte of Pain to draw a card if your hand's kind of bad or clunky, and occasionally you use it on your opponent's creatures to kill something small, or maybe enable an execute, which brings us into our next card right here. Execute, just really good removal, really efficient. Same with Shield Slam. It's in this deck you're probably going to kill smaller creatures. You're not too worried about stacking a whole bunch of armor. You want to be proactive if anything, but it's still just a really nice card to have. I have one upgrade and one whirlwind. I couldn't really decide if I wanted two upgrades and zero whirlwind, or two whirlwinds and one upgrade. Basically, upgrade is really good because in this deck, unlike your typical warrior deck, you're going to go face with the weapons a lot. Because, like I said earlier, you're really not going to get in a big 30 damage Worgen combo. Most likely, you're going to get in like around like a 20 damage combo, or maybe like a 22 damage combo, or like a 16 damage combo. So a lot of times you just hit face with your weapons, and you soften them up to around that 20 damage mark, give or take, and then you just finish them off with like a medium-sized wombo combo. And upgrade's really nice because it's another cheap spell to deal with Gadgetztan Auctioneer, and sometimes it's actually not too bad against Hunter. I've 3-for-1 to Hunter with this before, just because all their early minions are so small. Whirlwind, everyone knows Whirlwind. It can be used to trigger Raging Worgen, Acolyte of Pain, get some armors off Armorsmith, clear the board of small minions, etc., etc. Fiery Windaxe, just basically the best early game removal. But again, in this deck, a lot of times I'm just going to go face with this. It's not like an aggressive deck in the sense that I'm always going to go face. If there is a minion that is worth killing, then I will kill it. But if I'm getting into the mid to late game, I'm going to go face a lot more often because I want to try and set up for that kill. So Rampage, part of the Wombo combo. Use it on a Worgen, and basically represents an additional 6 damage because the Worgen gets Wind Fury. So yeah, I mean, it's really nothing else to say. It is a cheap spell that you can sometimes cycle off Gadgetztan Auctioneer if you already have a damaged minion. Occasionally, if it's really early in the game and I'm stuck with one of these in my hand, sometimes I'll like Cruel Taskmaster, like an Armorsmith, and Rampage it and just go all in. Like that's a 6/6 Armorsmith that they might just not be able to deal with it, and they could just lose the game pretty much on the spot. But most of the time, you save it for the Raging Worgen. And that brings me into something I want to mention really quick. When you're mulliganing with this deck, I know I say this in the written guide, but I know not everyone looks at the written part. When you're mulliganing with this deck, you want to throw away all your combo pieces. You don't want Rampage, Charge, or Raging Worgen in your opening hand, because essentially those cards do nothing or very little unless you're actually comboing them, and you're not comboing them unless you're actually winning the game. So essentially that means that these are dead cards until the turn that you actually win. So you want cards like Fiery War Axe, Armorsmith, Cruel Task, Acolyte of Pain, even Deathbite. Deathbite's one of the best cards in the deck. We'll get to that soon. You want those kind of cards in your early game, and then naturally draw into your combo pieces or find them with Acolytes and Gadgetztan Auctioneer. Slam. This is kind of like a filler spot. It's just another way to remove something. It's a cheap card. You can draw. It cycles deeper through your deck. Armorsmith, pretty self-explanatory. Great stats for a 2-mana creature. Gets you some extra armor. Maybe helps you survive into that next couple turns you might need to finish them off or find your combo, and also helps out your shield slams a lot. Cruel Taskmaster, this can be used, it's kind of like a jack of all trades. You can use it to kill off opponent's smaller minion. You can use it on your own minion, like an Armorsmith early on, to start chipping away 3 damage. You can use it to trigger and execute. You can use it on your Acolyte. Sometimes, often actually, you use it on your Raging Worgen. Yeah, you pretty much does a little bit of everything. Charge, part of the Wombo combo again. I very rarely will use this on a minion other than Raging Worgen unless A, it's going to kill them, or I have 2 of them, because you really only need 1. And like I've charged, like I went like turn 8, Gadgetztan Auctioneer, enrage my Auctioneer, charge my Auctioneer, hit him, and just get that final damage in. Things like that. Shield block, again, pretty self-explanatory. It cycles through your deck so you can find your combo. It makes your shield slams really nice, and helps you survive. Acolyte of Pain, one of the best sources of card draw that Warrior has, and has a great synergy with the deck. Like I said, we have enrages, Deathbite effects, Cruel Taskmasters, Whirlwinds, etc. Raging Worgen, part of the Wombo combo. This is how you kill your opponent, I'd say about like 80% of the time. If you're not killing them with the combo, then you're probably just killing them with like a Deathbite and an upgrade, and you're just going to hit them in the face a bunch of times with weapons, and maybe like charge an Auctioneer to finish them off. Kind of the same with Charge. You only need one of these to win, so if you have 2 of them, then you can just play one out there, and maybe it survives, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. But the thing with playing the Worgen or the Charge early on is then you kind of, like, the joke's over. They know what you're up to. One of the advantages this deck has is that your opponent really doesn't know what you're doing. They kind of see you as just another typical Warrior control deck that, might randomly play Gadgetztan Auctioneer or enrage. Might be a little bit not standard, but for the most part, they won't be expecting a 22 damage combo coming out, mid to late game. So you kind of lose the surprise factor if you throw out one of these early. Deathbite, one of the best cards in the deck. A lot of times I will pretty much always use the first charge of the Deathbite, regardless of if there's a good target or not. If there's no good target that I want to remove, then I'll just go face. I like to have the luxury of really being able to control when I get this Whirlwind effect off. Brawl, it's kind of like your oh crap button, like if the board gets out of hand, maybe there's a bunch of taunts, you just brawl it away. And Gadgetztan Auctioneer, this is one of my favorite cards in general. It's not going to be nearly as impressive in this deck as it is in Miracle Rogue, but as you can see, we do have a lot of cheap spells here, and it really, if you can get like 3 or 4 cards off it, that's great. Ideally, it will help you find whatever combo pieces you're missing in order to finish them off with the Raging Worgen combo. So that's a deck list, and now I'm going to try to briefly go over some of the matchups here. Usually I guess I'll just do it up here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So Druid's pretty tough. If they're the fast Druid, you might be able to outrace them. But in general, Druid's just going to be really hard because even the fast Druid runs Defender of Argus, and then Ramp Druid has a bunch of taunts and Sludge Belchers, and this deck doesn't run any silences. But you do have 2 executes. You do have Brawl. You could potentially get a large shield slam with shield block, but overall, it's just really rough. You kind of got to hope things go your way, but it is winnable. If I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say it's about 35 to 40% win rate for the Raging Worgen deck. So not great. I wouldn't want to run into any Druids. Hunter's actually pretty good, which makes this deck not a bad metagame choice right now, because there's a lot of Hunters on the ladder, at least at the time that I'm making this video. You have enrages, upgrades, whirlwinds, cruel tasks, armor smiths, acolytes, all Deathbite, Fiery War Axe. All these cards are really good against Hunter, and as long as you can proc their freezing traps earlier or before you set up to kill them with Raging Worgen, then you shouldn't really have any problems. You have even Shield Block to help keep you alive. Some of the Hunters do play Sludge Belcher, but I haven't actually found that to be too big of an issue. Yeah, so if I had to put a percentage on the Hunters, I'd say it's about 60% favored in the Warrior, the Raging Worgen. Mage, I mean, who knows what kind of mages are being played. I do have a mage in this video series, but there's so many different versions. I really don't know. I really can't get into all of them. I don't actually have that much experience with this deck versus every type of mage deck. I would imagine against like Freeze Mage, you just want to... Freeze Mage probably isn't too bad because their freeze effects don't really do anything against your charge wombo combo. So I imagine you combo them down and then just like equip a Deathbite. Like you combo them down to proc their Ice Block and then you just play like a Deathbite and hit them in the face twice or something like that. The Secret Mage, I have a video of me playing against a Secret Mage, so you can see that one for yourself. Really fast mages are probably not too bad because again you have Armor Smiths, the hero ability, shield blocks. Yeah, so Mage is probably not that bad of a matchup. Paladin, I actually haven't played very many Paladins at all with this deck, so I really don't know. I just straight up don't know. If they play a lot of taunts, which most Paladins do, then you're probably going to have to rely on like a Lucky Brawl. I would imagine this is a bad matchup. But luckily, as I just mentioned, you very rarely see Paladins, at least on ladder. It's more of like a deck that people like to play in tournaments. Priest is a good matchup. They can heal themselves up to 30 a lot, but even 30 health isn't safe. And generally, they only play... Like, Sludge Belchers are really difficult to deal with, but those are pretty much the only taunts you have to worry about. So, they're really slow also. So, basically, they just give you all the time in the world to set up. You'll see a video of me playing against a Priest. It's generally a pretty easy matchup. Miracle Rogue, all the variants. It's pretty even. A lot of times you can race them, like you're just straight up faster than them, but occasionally they get the really good removal, like they have Deadly Poison for your early cards, they have like an Agent. Sometimes Lotheb can really mess up your combo turn, but in general, I would say you have a really good shot to beat them, if not slightly favored. This is one of the matchups where you really want to be the aggressor. If I ever have two weapons in my hand, I'm going to equip one and immediately go face, because my plan is to kill them before or on turn 8, and I need to soften them up as much as possible with the with any weapon that I have. Shaman, I don't have a video of me playing as a Shaman. I had some trouble finding one, at least one that wasn't a bot. Shaman's kind of hard. If they have the Feral Spirits and Taunt Totem, RNG, or Defender of Argus, then it can really just be hard to deliver the killing blow. But if you get a good brawl, a nice early Deathbite, you might be able to just finish them off before they find the rest of their taunts. And they can't heal, so if you get in some good early, if you chip away and get in some good early damage, then you definitely have a good shot to win. I have beaten a Shaman, I just couldn't find one for this particular video series. I would say they're probably favored. If I had to put a percentage, I'd say it's like 40-60 in the Shaman's favor. Warlock, so Zoo is actually a really good matchup. It's basically all your cards are cheaper than Warrior controls, and you still have all the good early game that Warrior control has, with the exception of Sludge Belcher, I suppose. But in general, you just have really good removal. Gadgetztan Auctioneer can help you get back some, keep up with them in cards. Your creatures are generally just match up fairly well versus them. Yeah, just mulligan for your Fiery War Axe, your Armor Smiths, Cruel Tasks, things like that, and you should be all set. Handlock's a very interesting matchup. I didn't get one recorded, but it's really hard to tell if it's how do I want to say it? It's really hard to tell who's in favor. The main advantage you have against Handlock is they generally have no idea that you're setting up for Raging Worgen combo. So there might be a turn, they might be like 18, let's say, or 16 or whatever, and they might think, oh, Grommash doesn't kill me, so I don't need to taunt this turn. And then you're like, oh, Raging Worgen, you're dead. Things like that. So you have a good surprise factor, but if they ever get like double Molten Taunt or something like that, or 2 Twilight Drakes, then you're really gonna have to find and rely on a Brawl or it's going to be really hard to get through that, whatever taunt wall they set up. Yeah, so I guess that's all I really have to say about the Warlock matchups. And Warrior Control. In theory, Warrior Control seems like it would be a bad matchup. They can gain a lot of life and, you know, make it really hard for you to finish them off with a combo. And I've actually played against a lot of Warriors, because Warriors is quite popular on the ladder recently as well, and I've beaten most of them. I'm probably like, I played them about 10 times, and I've won, I don't know, around 7 games. And even after playing the matches, I still feel like, in theory, Warrior Control would be like a counter to this deck, but the games just don't really play out that way. Basically, I go face with the weapon pretty early on. I make it so that they don't stack a lot of armor, and yeah, I just end up killing them with the combo. I think, again, as with the Handlock matchup, it might just be the surprise factor, because they can't really tell that you're building up to deal like 22 damage, so there might be a turn where they won't armor up and they'll play something else instead. Maybe there's a turn where they'll play I don't know, Baron Geddon instead of Sludge Belcher armor up, and then you're like, oh, cool, now I can kill you. So I think the surprise factor, again, helps out a lot in that matchup. So there you have it. That's the general overview of the deck. I'll show you the deck list one more time here while I'm exiting out. I have, I think, 5 videos. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me. I do my best to respond, at least for the first few days that the video's up. And yeah, so there you have it. I hope that you guys think this deck's a little fun, a little bit more different, not so standard. And yeah, so thank you all for watching.